With the lottery moments away, let's take one more look at the probabilities of each team winning the #1 overall pick.
The 8th pick will be made by the New York Knicks.
God damn it!
Of course.
They may not pick their...
I still love you.
Anthony for three.
I think we see Willis coming out. Won the NBA championship.
Have the first pick in the 1985 NBA college draft.
Season ends the hands of the Chicago Bulls. Reggie Miller is tied the game. The Spurs, the Spurs are your world champions. New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis.
This is the
MadGood Knicks Show! Oh, I'm Far.
I'm TK.
I'm Pete.
I'm Steph.
And Jay.
Now we're all almost on the same page, unlike our New York Knickerbockers. Follow us on Instagram at MadGood Knicks Show. You know what it is. This is our special episode recapping the NBA Draft Lottery, which unfortunately is disappointing for all of us, guys.
Did you say that, Far?
To say the least.
I hated it.
Oh, did you? Tell us how you really feel.
8. Get it? 8.
And you actually predicted 8, and you were still disappointed.
What did they call you? Pretty Patty? Petey Patty?
I wish it was pessimistic, Patty.
correct.
Pessimistic Patty.
Pessimistic the Pete Patty.
My bad, my bad.
Fortunately, pessimism seems to be the path to truth in the Knicks. So if you're a pessimist, you will be right more often than not.
The Knicks will have the worst net record next year and have the #1 overall pick.
Pessimistic Patty to philosophical
Sorry, that's
piece.
too positive.
It's been long enough. It just like
We can't even tank right, guys. But you know what? This is what this show is going to break down. We're going to talk a little bit about the lottery. We're going to talk about the NBA draft, some prospects, some upside. Talk a little bit about Carmelo Anthony, and Kristaps Porzingis. Right?
And Anthony Donahue. He's still around?
Speaking of Anthony's, AD. Speaking of Anthony's, AD. Our version of AD. You know, Anthony Donahue. 33rd and 7th podcast, NBA Tune In. Also, Michael Scott will be joining the show from NBA Basketball Insiders, and Joe Pantorno from Metro, New York. So we've got a jam-packed show.
Check it out, guys.
Mucho.
Again, like I say this every episode, I wish it was under better circumstances, but we're doing this for you, the fans. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff.
And please comment. We really appreciate it. We'll answer as much as we can.
Absolutely, man. So what do you guys think about number 8?
I love it.
it's a pretty
nice
number.
Yeah,
Pretty number. The number's symmetrical. I like it.
It got some
bad.
curves.
Oh, we're
to
talking
it.
about in relations to the Knicks?
Nah.
I was just talking about the number 8.
Yeah, the number.
Oh, all right. Well, then, yeah, I love
Like,
it.
have you ever seen J-Lo?
Like this number, right? Actually, no, this number.
Like, she looks like an 8 from the head down.
Subliminal.
Pete, I'm sure you can help me with this, but 8 is
Guitar.
it's like a palindrome for numbers, right?
If you're not a mathematician,
Like if you turn it upside down, it's the same?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
You know what's funny?
It's
1 is also like that.
Is it? Oh.
Well, it depends on what time. Sometimes
not
not.
the one with a little like.
Yeah, right,
What
no,
if you just go vertical, yeah. Yeah.
that could be an I also.
That is irrelevant to the conversation.
8's an 8 regardless.
We're talking about the
struggling.
Knicks here, guys.
We're talking about the beat.
It's been a field of confusion, and I feel like this was really icing on the cake. So on that note,
I'm ready to do a whole episode on the number 8.
tune in. We're gonna talk about the number 8. This is the MadGood. All right, guys, welcome back. So we have a special guest here once again joining us, Anthony Donahue, the biggest Knicks fan, podcast 33rd and 7th, and of course contributor to NBA Tune In. Anthony, thanks for joining us for the second time. You are our first guest joining us for the second time. So an honor
back.
both ways, and welcome back, of course.
No problem, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Now speaking of just terrible feelings, let's talk about the Knicks. Let's talk about what happened during the draft lottery. The Knicks, of course, first they lose the coin toss to the Timberwolves, land one spot back.
Big win last game of the season.
Big couple wins, and now they have the 8th overall pick. So of course frustration across the board. What was your initial reaction to that?
I wasn't surprised at all. I actually thought, I'll be honest with you, I hate to sound negative because I'm usually a pretty positive fan, but I went to a Knicks party last night after the lottery, and a lot of people came up to me, friends of mine there, people that work for the team, and they were like, "Hey, are you feeling lucky?" And usually I'm Mr. Positive. I mean, every season the last 15 years, on opening night, I can tell you a reason why the Knicks are going to be good, and most of those years they weren't. So people were coming up to me last night saying, "Hey, are you feeling lucky?" And I was like, "Nope." They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Nope." I'm like, "What do you think we're going to?" I love when people, and I love how on the day of the lottery, people say, "Where do you think we're going to get?" I have no freaking idea.
I'm not a mathematician.
This is why we brought you on afterwards and not beforehand. But I expected 7 at least, man. I expected 7 at least, and unfortunately we didn't get that. But now we do have 8, and I want to ask you, as a Knicks fan, who are you looking most forward for the Knicks to draft in this 8th spot? What's our biggest need? Who would you absolutely be happy with and kind of make up for this ridiculous season that we've had?
Well, no disrespect to Derek Harper, Charlie Ward, Chris Childs, or even Stephon Marbury, but the Knicks, or Ray Felton also. The Knicks have needed a great point guard since Walt Frazier.
Yeah. Oh, that's a long time ago.
So, maybe Mark Jackson there a little.
Yeah.
Well. So, I like the kid from France. He's a good point guard. Will he be there at 8? Possibility. You're probably not getting Chris Paul. You're not getting Steph Curry. You're not getting Kyle Lowry.
The 2016-2017 Knicks season, where does it compare? Because we've had some disappointing times. Where does this past season compare?
Okay, so the last, obviously, the 90s we didn't win a championship. So when you lose in the springtime, late in the spring, it's a different type of depression. So the last 16 years, with every season being really bad, I can tell you a reason what made each season bad. I'm going to rank this past season, as the second worst Knicks season I've experienced the last 16 years. And number 1 is the 2013-2014 season. That's because you're coming off a season where you lost the Pacers in 6 games, you were 2 games away from the conference finals. You bring in Bargnani, you bring in Ron Artest, you bring in Beto Udrih, another year with Carmelo Anthony in his prime, you draft Tim Hardaway Jr., you thought Iman Shumpert was going to take the next step, and everything in the 2013-2014 season went absolutely wrong, and they ended up getting hot at the end. They missed the playoffs by 1 game, and what makes me the most mad about the 2013-2014 season is the Knicks, at the very least, treaded water those first 3 months, and then got hot. You know what happens? A few things. They make the playoffs as a 5 and 6 seed, maybe still advance because they would have been much better than the average 5 and 6 seed.
Sure.
But you know what else? You know what doesn't happen?
What?
They at the very least tread water in 2013, 2014, and not completely suck when the season started, and that's Phil Jackson doesn't happen. Because the Knicks were so bad that year, and with the protest outside Madison Square Garden, James Dolan made a move out of desperation, and that was begging Phil Jackson to take a role for the New York Knicks.
But how come we're not doing something of that sort this offseason? We've given Phil plenty of time to try to do something. Still hasn't really changed the culture, especially from the top down. And I'm not appreciative of actually how he's handling the whole Kristaps situation. We have the only unicorn sighted here in New York, and you're treating it as if it's not something special. Like, how come fans aren't really, coming out and batting for KP?
Man, I tell you, man, the Kristaps, I don't think the Porzingis situation right now, this needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now.
I agree.
I don't know what's going on in KP's head. He hasn't really spoken to Knicks brass since he went to Lafayette after the season. He skips the exit meeting, which I didn't have a problem with because he's showing that he's sick of what's going on. He's sick of the way Phil Jackson has treated his boy, good friend, and mentor, Carmelo Anthony. He's sick of it. Then he holds his own press conference in Latvia, which was really, really bizarre. And he has basically been off the grid with the Knicks since. And what you don't want is the cornerstone of your franchise to feel disengaged and to feel upset at the way the direction of the franchise. And what was weird is when Phil Jackson spoke to reporters on Saturday at the Combine, he didn't even want to talk about Porzingis. Like, how weird was that?
Yeah.
When I think it was Berman of the Post asked Phil about Porzingis, and KP didn't even want to. I mean, Phil didn't even want to give an answer. How do you not say that's our franchise or our hopeful franchise player or a big part of our team moving forward? Phil gave it no comment on his prized possession.
I think he spoke more on Genie, right?
He did. All right, so let's talk a little bit more on the future just to wrap things up. Aside from Kristaps Porzingis, there were some other positives from the season. What can you really look forward to next year, Anthony? As a Knicks fan, as a self-proclaimed diehard biggest Knicks fan out there, what are you looking forward to here?
I mean, you got to be looking forward to year 3 of Kristaps Porzingis, even though KP tailed off a little bit towards the end of the year. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I think he still averaged about 18 points.
That's right.
Yep. About 7-8 rebounds, a few blocks. So you got to figure he's going to get better. So you got to be looking forward to another year of KP. Whoever we draft, whether it's Frank the Frenchman, a big man, or whoever, so whoever you draft, you got to be excited about. And who knows what moves they're going to make in the offseason, whether it's bringing in a max player, bringing in 3 really good players. So no matter what, there's always things to be excited about. I'm not excited about Joakim Noah.
Yeah.
If I see Joakim Noah catch the ball one more time at the top of the key for no damn reason, I'm going to scream!
I don't fucking blame you. I don't blame you.
All Knicks fans alike, man.
For what reason?
We're all. I just want him to, get back to the 50% mark from free throw line. Like it's baby steps for me with Joakim Noah and stay on the court. Simple.
I want him to, if you're going to lead the team in assists, lead in the season. The whole season. Just lead the team in assists.
Yeah.
Have consistency.
There's a lot here. Anthony, where can our fans check you out?
You can check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Anthony MSG. I'm doing stuff with NBA TuneIn Radio. You can catch me on Friday nights on TuneIn with Karan Butler and Rick Kamla. So just make sure to follow my social media, Anthony MSG. I may be doing a draft party, do a lot of events with the Knicks where I bring groups of fans to games. I'm just very involved with the organization. I'm also a part of an event on June 4th at the Ainsworth. It's like a 90s throwback party.
Nice.
I'm hosting a Q&A with Larry Johnson and John Starks. So you guys should come. It should be a lot of fun. But just check my social media, Anthony MSG, and I'm always around. I'm always available, and I appreciate coming on with you guys, man. You guys do a fantastic job.
Wonderful. Anthony Donahue, once again, 33rd and 7th, also contributor NBA TuneIn. Once again, Anthony, thanks for joining us, and we'll probably actually have you back on right after the draft. So keep those wheels churning. Excellent. Thanks a lot, Anthony. Welcome. Just in case you've been living under a rock, the Knicks got the number 8 overall pick, of course.
Man.
Nicking stuff up all the time, unfortunately. So collectively, number 8, number 44, and number 58 are the picks that we're dealing with.
Not
Phil
bad.
has worked his magic in the second round, so I'm
Not
not
bad.
overly concerned about that. But again, having 3 picks, that's a luxury for the Knicks regardless.
You're used to having 0, right?
Potential free agents for us: Ron Baker, Justin Holiday, Derrick Rose, Sasha Vujacic. Probably bringing 2 of those guys back.
Yeah, for sure. I'd probably look into bringing Ron Baker and Justin Holiday back just as security. Derrick Rose should go.
Yes, absolutely. Ron, depending on who else we got. I like it.
Depends what we do in the draft, right?
So what's everyone looking at?
All right, so here, at least starting with the 8th pick.
Yep.
These are probably our potential options just going into it. This is a guy's name we should probably get used to, guys, because chances are we're going to draft him. Hate to break it to you. And we're no whiz here, but Frank Ntilikina. I could be saying it wrong, but we're going to go with that for now.
Are you sure
Tell me
about
something.
that?
If I could learn Porzingis, we can
I think
learn
you got this.
Ntilikina.
I think you got this.
18-year-old Frenchman. Plays in France. Let me get that off the bat right now to all our comments from our last.
We appreciate the love, though. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys correcting us. Never want to give out false information. He doesn't play in Germany. It's Strasbourg in France. So clearing that up. Let me tell you a little bit about this kid's accolades.
What's he got going on?
Not much, but under 18 European Cup MVP. So this kid could ball. He stands at 6'5" for a point guard. That's pretty big in the NBA.
Yeah,
Imagine him guarding the perimeter like that. We haven't had a single perimeter defender on the Knicks. Courtney Lee, he's so busy guarding the best guy on the other team that we
No,
don't
you're
really
right.
have perimeter defense.
You're right, but you and I had a conversation not too long ago about Frank.
We did.
And we were looking at some of his highlights and training video. What do you think about that?
So I understand some of the criticism. He looks a step slow. He's crossing up guys who
That's
look
something
like
I
they
mentioned to
probably
you.
play soccer instead of
sure.
basketball.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's 18, 6'5", 6'11" wingspan. Anything that he's missing in speed right now at the age of 18, he can make up for in how long his arms are.
It's possible.
Keep that in mind. This kid has so much upside. Can you imagine KP at 7'1" playing the 4, 7'2", 7'3"? I forgot, but at this point, he's a tall dude. Then you got Frank at 6'5". Pair that with Billy. That's not a bad defensive lineup for the future.
Not bad. But here's a guy that I like, man.
Who that?
Let me tell you a little something about my man Malik Monk.
Oh,
right?
The guy who said, "I hope I get drafted."
Yeah. What was that about?
I don't know. It could have been throwing shade. It could have been he sincerely hopes he's a top 5 pick because he thinks he deserves it. I don't know. Let's make things interesting.
Dude, all in all, he could be throwing shade at the Knicks. Who wouldn't be throwing shade? He's probably a potential top 5 pick, but he's right within our range. You know, at number 8, he may slip because there's some guys, you know, that other teams are looking at by need and by fit. So Malik Monk, let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a prolific scorer, right? We could probably use another scorer now that we're, you know, not quite sure what's going to happen with Carmelo Anthony. He may be out of here. We don't know what's going on with that. So we need a guy that can put the ball in the hole.
This is interesting. In the event that we draft Malik Monk, that would potentially, if we keep Courtney Lee, move him to the 3 spot.
Would it now?
That's a solid defensive lineup. But where else are you putting Courtney Lee?
I could keep him at 2, man. Malik Monk, listen, Wally Zerbiak did say this, and he's not wrong. This is something I looked into as well. He's a combo guard. He can play the 1 and 2, and especially in our system, the triangle, which we so dreadily hate speaking about, you don't need a premier point guard. So we can see what Monk can do with scoring the basketball in Kentucky. He could put the ball in the hoop for the Knicks, and he can run the point in the triangle system.
That is fascinating. From going to former MVP Derrick Rose, a point guard who can't play defense to save his life, to Malik Monk, who's a point guard, shooting guard mix, if you will.
Toss up.
A la Steph Curry. Who knows if he'll turn out that
Just
way.
saying. No comparisons, but just saying.
Just saying. All right. We got another guy that I definitely want to touch on. I'm pretty excited about this. Jonathan Isaac.
Woo!
Forward.
Yeah.
So ideal Melo replacement. I think the best comparison to him is probably Gordon Hayward with better upside on defense.
For sure.
This is a strong kid. His jump shot is getting up. Let me just put his size into perspective for you. So he stands at 6'11".
Yeah.
Right?
Long kid.
Very big. Wingspan at 7'1". KP and him playing next to each other, that is defense like the Knicks have never seen before. So that's something to look forward to. Moreover, when he's raising his hand, he's 9 feet 1 inches. He ain't got to jump a lot. He's a solid defender and a solid rebounder at that on both ends of the floor, averaging just about 7 rebounds a game, putting up only 12 points. But again, his ceiling is very high. He definitely helped his team as a freshman, and a lot of upside on this guy, Jonathan Isaac.
Potential-wise, he's probably right up there with Fultz and Ball in terms of potential.
And like we said, this is a deep draft, so
it is.
It's not a loss for us at all. I'd be so happy with a guy like Jonathan Isaac.
I would too, but he's a little raw, man. You know
Very
how we feel about taking gambles on raw players.
We do it anyway, though.
Porzingis.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, there you go.
Who
This is another guy who falls right within our range, right? And, you know, you and I had a lot of conversation about this guy, and he seems to be flying under the radar. You know, maybe there's some character issues there. There's some leadership issues and stuff, but as far as his athleticism goes and his all-around ball game, Dennis Smith Jr., he's a prospect to look at. And just recently, go ahead.
You know what? He didn't play in the tournament. That's partially
for sure.
NC State, not a big school. So.
And questions for leadership as well, how he handled that. But this is a guy that flat out almost averaged, about 20 points, 7 assists? That's no joke in the ACC.
Absolutely.
This kid can ball. He was a freshman, 19 years old. But my only thing is here, right? He's got immense amount of potential. And this kid can flat out ball. But he doesn't necessarily fit the triangle system. He's a ball dominant point guard. He needs the ball in his hand to create. He's pick and roll heavy, and we don't do a lot of that. I'm sure Jeff would love to.
What's exciting, absolutely, what's exciting about this, and you guys will hear this in one of our upcoming interviews, there have been comparisons made to Russell Westbrook. That type
To
of
who?
talent.
Say it again.
Russell Westbrook.
Oh my goodness, I would love to have somebody like
In
that.
the event that ends up happening, great win for the Knicks. But like you said, that triangle system, why does it have to keep coming up, man?
But,
why can't we just draft the best player available, Phil?
Hey, who knows? We may. Phil's been in contact with some of his representatives,
Yes.
so you never know. They are at least interested in him, whether he may be a fit or not. But
Or if he falls to 8, we'll see.
We'll see.
It's going to be luxury in our lap.
those are our 4 guys.
That is.
For our range.
One more guy we
Shoot.
might want to mention
Shoot, let's hear.
is a young man from UNC, which
Ooh.
you will be touching on.
I will later, but as the 8th pick, I don't know, man. I heard some rumors that the Knicks might be looking to acquire another first rounder.
We'll see.
We'll
a lot
see.
of stuff going on this offseason. We will, of course, we'll keep you guys posted on the draft. We'll have another episode. In the meantime,
Always a pleasure.
my man TK.
Pot duh.
I'm Far.
We out here.
And ladies, sorry.
And kids.
And kids. Absolute pleasure to have a guest on right now. He is the senior NBA writer for Basketball Insider's freelancer for the Associated Press, focusing on the Knicks and the Nets. Michael Scotto, absolute pleasure having you on, man. How's it going?
What's up, guys? My pleasure. How are you?
Good. So, you know, being a Knicks fan, I shouldn't say good, because nothing's going good right now. Last night was probably icing on the cake, the draft lottery, for what really is just a crappy Knicks season. What is your initial reaction to how the Knicks kind of just nicked it up again?
I think, well, you know, it's funny you say how the Knicks nicked it up again. You know, when we were in the lottery room and we're all sitting down as it happened, you know, a couple of rows back from stage, there was like a collective, oh, you gotta be kidding me, from the crowd. And I kind of felt that way too. You know, heading into the day, I really had a gut feeling that the Knicks were going to move into the top 3. That was before I had some chicken parmesan. Then I got to the draft lottery. I had some salmon, and I felt even better about it. And lo and behold, it was fool's gold, unfortunately. But, you know, after the Knicks dropped the spot with the coin flip to Minnesota, to fall another spot back in the draft process, you know, through the lottery, it's just kind of the final nail in the coffin on what's been a very rough New York Knicks season.
Let's talk about the potential draft prospects here as well. Who do you think the Knicks should be picking up here? Where should their focus be?
Well, I think it should be a point guard because there's certainly plenty of them within the top 10 of this draft. I don't think at this point they're going to have a chance to get Lonzo, Ball, Markelle, Fultz, or De'Aaron Fox. So at that point, you know, you're hoping that you can land either Dennis Smith, point guard from NC State. At his best, he's drawing comparisons to Russell Westbrook. He's a very athletic point guard. Still working on his jump shot, so if he gets that to be consistent, I think the sky's the limit for him. Also, Frankie the Frenchman, he's a guy that we might see. You know what? I got to be honest.
Frankie the Frenchman. I like that nickname, by the way.
You know, I think he's a guy that could certainly be in play for the Knicks at 8. You know, I also look for maybe Charlotte to take a look at him, have a backup point guard for Kemba Walker. It's just a guy to take the pressure off of him. But, you know, specifically for the Knicks, other than that, there's 2 other guys that come to mind. I think of Malik Monk of Kentucky because he's such a great shooter. The Knicks could always use more shooting, especially if they're going to try to run the triangle offense for better or worse. And lastly, I would say Jonathan Isaac. If they can get him, they might be able to make the trade for Carmelo Anthony a little bit easier because you can slide Isaac into the 3. And could you imagine pairing him and KP as one of the longest front courts in the NBA at the 3 and the 4?
Tanking has sort of been the scourge of the NBA in the past couple of years. I know a lot of teams look to tank to sort of take advantage of the draft process. You're in the locker room with a lot of these players. What's the general mood amongst the teams when the fans want the teams to tank to increase their draft prospects?
Well, Pete, I mean, it's definitely tough. Anytime, you know, I remember after every game, you know, going up to Courtney Lee, you could just see the dejection on his face just from being a guy that came here along with Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. This team thought that they would be a contender and potentially even a top 4 team in the East if all the cards stacked up correctly.
That's right.
But
that's how they started the season.
It was the polar opposite. And, you know, the biggest thing was especially being a veteran team, it wasn't like a young team that you thought, okay, well, maybe they're going to go through some growing pains. No, you got veterans on the floor to try and expedite the process and really make a run as a fringe contender and maybe even a dark horse in some people's eyes before the season. It didn't happen. Within the locker room, the players were frustrated. You know, they grew tired of hearing the same questions. And you can just see the agony on their face. They don't want to tank, because if they tank, they're potentially giving up their own roster spot to somebody else. Right. And no player ever wants to do that. You know, that's why they, you know, for better or worse, they won those games at the end of the season. You know, they still competed.
It was worse. It was for worse. And I'm speaking as a Knicks fan here, Michael. It was for worse. But I hope Knicks Nation just heard what you said. As a professional basketball player, you know, everyone here has an ego. You're not going to just tank to let a college kid take your place next year. Go ahead, Pete.
Absolutely right. And to build off what you said, it was a veteran team. I think we were all surprised by how the season ended up, considering all the hope we had in the beginning. We're kind of anti-tank up to a certain point, just because we had a lot of new guys on the roster, and we thought that they could probably benefit from the team taking games seriously and getting those guys minutes. So double-edged sword, I guess.
It really is. Now let's talk about the dysfunction of this team, because we had 18 episodes this past season in our inaugural season, and I think about 14 of them were dedicated to how dysfunctional this franchise is. Being a major market team like New York, you know, what are your overall thoughts on the Knicks? But then, you know, you got the crosstown guys who are doing it even a little bit worse than Nets. I don't want to opine too much on them, but really just a major market team failing this badly. We see Boston and the Lakers with 1 and 2 overall picks, and Knicks end up nowhere near that.
Basically, just when you think it's over, something else happened. For example, when they hired Jeff Hornacek, the guy that he replaced, Kurt Rambis, still has a spot on the staff. But that was interesting. Started there, okay. Yeah. Derrick Rose goes missing in action for a game. Then you got the Charles Oakley security incident. You know, you got Kristaps Porzingis skipping an exit meeting. Even off the court, you know, unfortunately, Phil Jackson and Jeannie Buss split up, Carmelo and Lala. And then the pick falls, you know, back a spot with the coin flip. Then the pick falls again on the lottery night. I mean, you know, if this was Mortal Kombat, you know, the video game, they would have been dead a long time ago. And here we are. It's like they're still fighting.
I want to talk to you quickly about the actual draft and the Celtics getting that #1 overall pick. An Eastern Conference Finals team. If adding insult to injury wasn't enough for Knicks fans, it's the Boston Celtics. They're in the conference finals, and they get the #1 overall pick. Do they pick Markelle Fultz? Where does Isaiah Thomas go?
Yeah, I think, you know, right now on paper they're going to take Markelle Fultz, but I would not be shocked at all if they dangled it in a trade for potentially Jimmy Butler, depending on how they fare against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think this is going to be a real litmus test for them to see where they're at, you know, in the Eastern Conference power rankings. You know, if we see this go to maybe a 6 or 7 game series, maybe Boston doesn't think that they're that far off, and they make a swing for Jimmy Butler to try and swing for the fences and really make a run as LeBron slowly, and I mean slowly, begins to age.
Fascinating stuff. Michael, thanks again for your time, and make sure that you check them out on basketballinsiders.com.
So we really need to get out of here because this is really out. I'm not planning on staying.
Sorry I'm late, guys. Sorry I'm late.
Man, is this clown again?
Ran into traffic.
Were you guys talking about something?
Yeah, the movie It.
Interesting. Didn't see it. Anyway, welcome back. Steph, was it? Steph?
Yeah, what up?
Welcome back, guys, to Knicks Nation.
What's going on, man?
Prep school. Where were we last time? Lesson 4, I believe, was organizational catastrophic disasters, right? So we're moving on to...
Well, these were my notes from last time, so...
Right. So I think we're just going to move into the next lesson plan. We're doing Knicks draft history. Ignore the haters, especially your mom. How do you feel about it?
I don't know about no fans, but you better make me a fan of you, man, because...
We're going to take it all the way back to 1985. Now you remember who they picked, you got to know.
I thought he was going to say Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
If you said Michael Jordan, it wouldn't have been
Nah, man, he's a basketball
Patrick
player, not a
Ewing.
singer.
Bro, I was fucking born in the 80s. That's all I know.
Guys, we have a lot of history to cover. We've had the 3rd worst record in the league, if you count up all those years. Wow. Right. So what does that tell you? Bro? That would tell you that, oh my God, we've been a terrible team. We should have been doing amazing in the draft, right?
Yeah.
Turns out that's not the case. Turns out we've been doing really shitty in the draft based on how we've been playing.
But you just said we got the #1 pick in 1985.
I'm talking since then. You guys paying attention? When we traded Ewing, the Knicks should have had the best average draft position. Did you know that? Just based on their record alone. It's been 6th. 6th. You know what teams have better draft positions than them? The Spurs, the Mavericks, the Heat, the Lakers, and the Pacers. You know what those teams have in common? They've actually been pretty good half the last 16 years. So how the hell do they get better draft positions than we do if we've been stuck in that? Do you know the Knicks own the largest average discrepancy between where they should have picked in the draft and where they actually picked? At no point did we ever get a pick better than the one we were slated to get. In fact, in most cases, we got worse. We dropped 4 spots in '86. Wow. We dropped 3 spots in '87. We dropped a spot in 2008 and another in 2015. And sometimes when we get a decent pick in the draft like Nene, what did we do? Come on guys, we went over this.
I don't know, that's a dance, bro.
We sent them overseas, right?
Yeah, for Antonio McDyess. Antonio McDyess, who lasted all of 2 weeks, and then we traded him for who? Stephon Marbury.
Isn't that guy that ate Vaseline?
Yo, I was just about to say that.
Bruh.
I heard they got a statue of him in China.
Extra lubricated.
But we ain't in China, guys. And as Trump says, we gotta make America great again. But more importantly, we have to make New York great again. And it starts with the draft. The Knicks had a pick in the top 3, but as luck would have it, they actually traded that pick away. And the Bulls ended up getting LaMarcus Aldridge for that pick. Do you know who we got for that?
Nah, school us.
I mean, have we got one answer right?
Eddie.
Who?
Eddie Curry. Eddie Curry.
Eddie Curry?
Eddie Curry.
Eddie Curry.
Yeah, Eddie Curry. We got Eddie Curry instead of LaMarcus Aldridge, which the Bulls got.
It's a very long name versus a very short
And then
name.
they gave it to Portland. And now that guy is one of those 16 or wherever that are in the playoffs. He's in the Western Conference Finals. So just saying, when we've been given luck, we totally squandered it. The Knicks have worsened their own draft position 8 times by trading away rights to a top pick. You see what I'm saying? Even when we have gold in our hands, we squander it. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
You throwing too many big words at me, Doug.
Yeah. Listen, the point is, Knicks education is all about increasing your tolerance for pain. And when we don't, we blow it anyway.
This guy sounds really pessimistic.
So.
I'm here for Spurs 101.
Anyway, I got another student coming in.
We have a special guest joining us today, Joe Pantorno. He is the sports editor of Metro New York, formerly with Bleacher Report as their breaking news reporter. Joe, absolute pleasure having you on. Good friend of mine, and hopefully, soon to be good friend of the show if we don't scare you away.
Well, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's kick it off right away. We're not doing too well. Are you doing all right? I'm pretty down in the dumps.
I'm absolutely down in the dumps. Joe, let me ask you straight up, man. Just what's your reaction from the lottery? What draft prospects are you looking at? What did you take from last night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same guy that was almost optimistic enough 7 years ago to think that we were going to get LeBron James. And I guess I'm a glutton for punishment because I just haven't learned. So obviously you think that there's some small possibility that, hey, like maybe we'll slip into the top 5 or something. And sure enough, here comes number 8. And, like, he couldn't even give us number 7. We were at 50% chance. And
your predictions or your thoughts on what we could have been are validated, because what a lot of fans don't know is Bleacher Report at the time, back in 2015, had the Knicks drafting at number 4, picking Kristaps Porzingis, when nobody else thought that. Joe, we were friends on Facebook. When you had posted that article that you wrote I gave you hell for it. So here I am, swallowing my pride, apologizing. You were right. So there's some credibility, there's some validity to what you're saying here. Let's talk a little bit about the hidden unknowns to this upcoming draft as it pertains to the Knicks. Do you think that we're going to get another surprise pick, or is it going to be, you know, those bottom 5 that everyone's looking at in the top 10?
Well, first of all, I mean, don't apologize, because even while I was writing it, I was like, I'm gonna get flack for this.
Flack you did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I didn't, even in a perfect world, I didn't expect it to work out as well as it did. But, you know, you saw the intangibles and said, well, if, you know, the dominoes fall in the right way, there's a possibility that maybe something could work out. But again, given our track record, why would it? So it's a pleasant surprise for sure. But for this year, I see one. And I see one that could possibly fall to the Knicks, and it would address a big need. And I know for a fact that I'm going to butcher the pronunciation on this, but it's Frank Ntilikina. I think I got it.
Well, yeah, we'll call him Frank the Frenchie, courtesy of Michael Scotto, who's on the show earlier. Dubbed that nickname. So Frank the Frenchie is good by us.
Frank the Frenchie, 18 years old. He's 6'5". He has the opportunity to become an extremely productive two-way guard. Something that, well, when's the last time we've had that?
What are your overall thoughts on the way the Knicks organization has been run this year, and specifically, what are your thoughts on Phil Jackson?
Well, if I could liken it to one thing, the Knicks would be a dumpster fire. And I say that in the most endearing way possible.
Nah, I don't think there's an endearing way to say that.
We'll take it at that.
You know, you try to sugarcoat things, but there's really no way to put into words just how dysfunctional this has been.
Absolutely.
It's just something new every day. And, you know, bringing it to another sport for a second, you think, you know, Mets fans are complaining because of the tough start they've had for this season, and Knicks fans are like, you know, hold my beer here. You know, we can have it be any day of the week.
Yeah, right. They got the same colors too, so.
Exactly.
It must be a color thing.
It
like
should be rebranded, man.
Orange and blue might not be for New York. I don't know. But hey, the Mets made it to the World Series 2 years ago. Anything is possible at that point. Who knows?
Exactly.
So in terms of Carmelo Anthony, you know, being one of the issues for the Knicks, and it's almost like a non-issue issue. Like, it shouldn't be an issue, but it is. Where do you think are the potential upsides for the Knicks trading him? Where can he possibly go? What can we get in return? I know you wrote about this a bit, so let's share that with the fans.
Listen, he's aging. That's obvious, but he still holds the promise of being a premier scorer in the NBA. A lot of teams aren't really going to pass that up if he waives his no trade clause, especially the ones that are on the cusp of possibly becoming legitimate championship contenders. And I'm going to mention the Boston Celtics here. And they already are legitimate championship contenders, and there's really no team in the NBA that's sitting prettier than them. You have $30 million worth of cap space. You have the #1 draft pick. Oh, by the way, you're also in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I have a question about that. Do you think that his style of play, his sometimes stagnant offense, or the fact that he's more of an ISO player, do you think teams will be on a lookout for that type of player, or do you think that, you know, we'll be left with Carmelo and he'll have to stick with the Knicks?
Teams that are looking for, I'd say, complementary, not exactly secondary scoring, but another big-time scoring punch, would bring him on, and basically they'd want to put him within an offensive system that keeps him away from playing that hero ball.
Right.
Yeah.
So once that can happen, you're getting 20+ points, you know, from your front court, and you can't pass that up.
Right.
So in terms of value for Carmelo, first and foremost, I love Carmelo Anthony. Maybe it's my fanhood talking. I don't want him to go, as my colleagues in the background here are making fun of me for this. Like, this is my, I have a profound love for what Carmelo Anthony has done for the Knicks. He's been an elite scorer. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. Is it really the right move to kind of part ways on such a sour note for a cornerstone player of this franchise? It's not out of the question that they might actually, you know, look into honoring him some way down the line. He's up there in Knicks scoring, and he's done a lot for us. Not enough, but what are your thoughts on that?
deserves any sort of accolade that comes his way if the Knicks do decide to honor him. That goes without a doubt. Even though he's brought sometimes negative attention to the team, whether it be on the court or off the court, he's been at times a very good soldier. He's stayed extremely loyal to New York, and it's exposed Phil Jackson for kind of being the villain here. And really, not many people could take that from their employers. If your boss came up to you and was trying to run you out of town every day, how long would you be able to deal with that? So you have to commend Carmelo Anthony just for sticking it out as long as he did.
Yeah.
But you love Carmelo, and he has a soft spot in a lot of Knicks fans' hearts. But you know, if you love something, in this case, you might have to set it free, and it'll be positive for both parties here, because the Knicks can really get some pieces to build around Chris Paul.
What pieces? You know, what can the Knicks actually get of value in return? Don't tell me 2 second-round picks and like a wing player. That's not enough for me, Joe.
I know, but I would really want, and I know, and this is probably the only time where Phil and I will probably have the same idea here. I would call up Boston, and I would say, if you give me Jay Crowder and a pick or two, or even, and crazy enough, because they might have to shed a little bit of room to take on that contract, and if they draft Markelle Fultz, say give me Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley.
That I could live with. See, I could live with
that too. It's a big ask, and Celtics fans would probably be ready to jump through the computer screen and get their hands around my throat.
I believe. So let's tie this back into the draft here, and what player is really going to be ideal to complement KP, and let's assume that Carmelo won't be around next year. Joe, who do you have your eye on? You mentioned Frank earlier. Who else is on that list that could potentially be a great fit for the New York Knicks?
Basically, if I'm the Knicks, I'm looking at point guard, and I'm looking at point guard only, and preferably a pass-first point guard.
Yep.
Which
Very
is
good.
screaming Dennis Smith to me. I mean, this kid he's versatile. He can play almost any style that you want. He's agile enough where he can slash to the basket when those passing lanes are closed down. And, a talent like that can really open up the offense, and that'll really allow KP to find a little bit more freedom on the floor and dictate his own game a little bit better. Besides him, and it's probably not going to happen, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, there's another point guard that could possibly fall if things go right, but I'm seeing him go at like number 5 to Sacramento.
Yeah.
How
often do things go right for the Knicks?
How many eggs in the basket there, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's spot on right there. And sorry, our producer had one question for us. You wanted to. What was the question?
Smith fit the triangle?
Oh, of course, the triangle. I won't ask your opinion on it. I won't ask much else about it. But does Dennis Smith fit the triangle?
He could. As much as I would like to believe it, and I'll say it now, kids that are coming out of college, they can, some of them, and those whose names don't rhyme with Schmonzo Ball, their egos can be put aside here, and they can be put under new systems and learn and develop up to the speed of the NBA game. And if you put somebody in a consistent system and you can nurture them into it, then it could happen. And
yeah, well, Joe, we want to really thank you for your time here. And again, I got to remind Knick fans, like, Joe is a guy to look out for and really read his stuff, because A, it's great New York sports that you're writing, but B, you did predict that KP draft, and I got to give kudos where kudos is due.
Props to you, man.
Joe Pantorno, the sports editor for Metro New York. Thanks again for joining us, my friend. We hope to catch you again soon on the MadGood Knicks Show.
Guys, I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, bro.
It's been a long episode, guys, but I hope you learned a lot. I know I sure did. It was an absolute pleasure. Thanks again to all of our guests for joining us. Thanks again for you, the fans, tuning in. Even though it's been a distraught season, I feel like, and maybe there's hope.
It could only get better from now, like 30 years, maybe.
No, that's absolutely right, man.
Who said that?
Hopefully next year, this time of year, we'll be doing playoff shows and not so much about the draft.
So we're going to expand to the rest of the NBA by next year?
Ooh. MadGood NBA Show?
No, this is the MadGood Knicks Show. Only Knicks here. That's all we talk about.
We've been talking about the offseason before the season's even done.
All right.
That's what we do.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back around for the draft though, so make sure you follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, email us.
We'll keep writing them in.
Text us if you have our number.
Fax us.
Did you say pages?
And high five us in person.
Fax us too.
Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, goodbye. Nah, 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 nah. La, la, la. Hey, goodbye.
What's up, guys? This is your boy TK, aka John Legend, as you guys know. I want to thank you guys for watching, and please make sure you do subscribe. And if you like what you saw from previous episodes, or if you just like our faces, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. But wait, please hit that like, comment, and share as well. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.